Good evening, folks, from cloudy-ish Wirral. We got a fair bit of rain today. Again, not saying we don't need it, but Sunday, it's not the best, is it? Anyway, go online. I'm just waiting to go on to Rob Moore's Money.School Sunday session. That starts about 7:15, so I just thought I'd do a quick video on a couple of articles that jumped out at me, loosely related as well, and they cover that really scintillating, interesting subject, boundary fences. Now, not the most interesting subject, but quite an important subject to a lot of people who own property. So the first article I picked up from is Birmingham Live, so it's credit to them, it's their article, etc. And they've put an article out the other day. New UK law simplifies garden fence rules, but UK households face £5,000 fine. Let me add on to this. I'm going to do a podcast on this, record it this week. It'll be out in a few weeks' time. A link to the podcast will be down below in the comments. Please like, subscribe and share. Thank you. Anyway, so they've said the updates simplify the rules around replacing a boundary hedge or installing a new fence. Don't forget, this is their take on it, not mine, and they're not necessarily correct. Just a bit of a disclaimer. UK households with front or back garden fences have been warned over fines worth a staggering eye-watering £20,000, or warned of fines over a staggering £20,000. New rules came into force in May 2025 under the Town and Country Planning Act order. So for General Permitted Development Order 2015, these updates simplify the rules around replacing a hedge, or installing a new fence. So what are these rules? Now, the Birmingham Live are quoting a legal expert, Gurpreet Chokar, and he said in a warning, if you're thinking of putting up a new garden fence this summer, there are a few important things to bear in mind to make sure you don't break any laws and find yourself landed with a fine. For a back garden fence, you're allowed up a fence up to 2 meters high, that's about 6'6" or under, without needing planning permission. Over 6 foot odd, you need planning permission for. Gurpreet said, if you don't have planning permission, then your fence can't be any higher than 2 meters from the ground. Front fences can't go above 1 meter, which I didn't actually know that, by the way, if you live next to a footpath. So if you've got a pavement on the other side of your fence, apparently you can't be over 1 meter. I didn't actually know that, to be honest with you. I thought you could have them higher than that, because you see a lot of hedges higher than that. That's just over 3 feet tall. Gurpreet added, there will always be some cases where planning permission will be needed if the fence is more than 1 meter high, such as if it borders a highway or the footpath of a highway. So a road or a pavement, basically. If you're not sure, then it's worth getting in touch with your local planning authority, which is usually your local council to check. Freudian slip there, I think. When it comes to replacing a fence, the left-hand side of your garden, as seen from the street, is usually your responsibility. If the rough side of the fence faces you, chances are it's yours to maintain. That's a bit of a bone of contention. I will cover that in the podcast, because it's supposed to be a little bit of an urban myth, that. So I'm going to do a bit of research, and I will come back and I will demystify that part for you. You could face penalties up to £5,000, £20,000, depending on whether you're a household or a business. So they'll fine a business more and a household less, basically. The warning is timely given. UK households will be spending the summer months doing gardening jobs and outdoor DIY, as long as it doesn't piss down like it did today, obviously. Sorry, did I swear then? Sorry. And that's the end of that article. So it's a very brief article saying the law has changed, and you may have to ask for planning permission for your fences and etc. I don't notice that much change in it, but I need to do some research, and like I said, I will do a podcast on it. The second article that I saw is loosely linked to this one, and it's from the Slough and South Bucks Observer. So as you can see, I've been trawling the national locals, or the local national, I don't know. So Slough Council tells neighbours they can't fence off land. So this is basically 3 neighbours have been told by Slough Borough Council they can't fence off a green verge behind the houses, despite the fact they've purchased this land. Owners of the homes on Ramsey Court in Lynch Hill built the fence along, so I got adverts popping up as well, along Portland Close, extending their gardens onto previously public accessible land. They said they bought the land from a property developer, Taylor Wimpey, which they say had been neglected and not maintained for several years. However, they were told they needed to apply for planning permission to change of use for the land. That's not normally a problem, by the way. So, in a statement submitted with their planning application, one of the homeowners said the land had become an area for dumping refuse, empty cans, alcohol bottles, bags of dog litter, gas canisters, discarded cycles, and unwanted household items. So basically a fly tipping site. They added it was also a place for youngsters to drink and consume drugs. Now, whether that is or if it isn't another matter. It might be just them trying to pull up their application. I don't know. The brambles and bushes were overgrown and covered part of the pavement. This posed a risk of harm to the public, especially children on the way to school. Another said in their planning application that closing the land off makes it much easier to maintain and prevent the space from having rubbish dumped by people who use Portland Close as a walkthrough from Burnham Lane to Haymill Road and other neighbouring areas. A third said in their planning application that they had even had the police chase criminals who had jumped over my fence to escape from being detained. Well, yeah, that could happen anywhere, to be honest with you. The neighbours also said they needed to build a fence to protect the privacy of their gardens. Well, if you bought the land, you expect to be able to do something with it, not just leave it as it is, I suppose. But, you know, maybe their conveyancer didn't do his job properly. Happens. Their planning statement said the proposal has been designed with consideration for the surrounding context and does not interfere with any access route or the public domain. The development will ensure the privacy of the residents while maintaining a respectful, considerate approach to the neighbouring properties and public areas. One argued that the fencing had improved the look of the area. Their statement said the change has had minimal impact on the wider environment and neighbouring properties. In fact, it has enhanced the visual neatness of the area. It added the changes have enhanced the security of the property and provided greater privacy for the residents of the property. The use of the land for private gardens is in line with surrounding areas' residential nature, so they're saying there's a precedent. And no environmental concerns or harm has been caused by the changes. It depends on what the land was deemed for and what was on the land. Potentially, if you're going to keep it as a garden, you're not going to pave it over. Yeah, bit of a grey area. But I'm going to cover a lot of this in a podcast about, you know, boundary fences and what you can use them for and when you need to do planning permission. But Slough Borough Council refused the planning permission for all three applications. Council planning officer said the fence was a harmful addition to the street scene. They said the development has a detrimental visual impact within the area and fails to improve the character or appearance of the surroundings and street scene at Portland Close. The planning office added, if they approve these applications, it would make it harder to refuse others in the future, resulting in further unacceptable impacts. The applications were refused on May the 28th. Now, in all likelihood, these people will appeal this down to Bristol. And in all likelihood, they'll most probably win. Being hands up honest about it. Because to me, that's... And I don't know the legalities of that land and whether Taylor Wimpey were right to sell it as they did, etc. But if they've been using land that Taylor Wimpey had already earmarked for building, then that's a fair use of the land, I would have said. But I think that's because I don't know the insides of that. It could have been that Taylor Wimpey was designated as one of the green areas as part of Taylor Wimpey's development. Don't know. So anyway, I said they're loosely connected, those two little stories. So one is about the changes in law, which I'm going to do a podcast on. Link to my podcast, Efficiency in Property Investing, in the comments below. Please like and subscribe and share. It means it takes nothing to share, costs nothing to share, but means absolutely massive amounts to me. I really appreciate any support you can give me. So they're loosely linked, and as you can see, this one said you needed planning permission for this fence around here. So it's obviously contentious and sometimes complex area of law, which does affect people buying, land for development, buying houses that you're doing up. If the fence isn't there or the hedge isn't there, you want to reinstate it. what you do. So watch the podcast when it comes out, and hopefully I'll have the answers for you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that brief little insight into a couple of local news items that are loosely sort of linked around property. And I hope you found it a little bit interesting, a bit informative, and watch out for the podcast. Anyway, that's all for me for this Sunday evening. Have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your weekend. Keep moving forward. Thank you.